subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to not miss new stories. I've been carrying this secret for too long. It eats at me every time I lie next to my husband. Every time I hear his steady breath at night, unaware of the storm that lives inside me. I didn't mean for any of it to happen, not at first. But once I opened that door, once I tasted what I had been missing, there was no going back. It all started with a look. My name's Carrie. I live in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Dallas. White fences, trimmed lawns, nosy neighbors. The kind of place where nothing big ever happens, at least, not out in the open. I've been married to Brad for over 9 years. He's a good man. Works in insurance. Brings home dinner on Fridays. Pays the bills. Doesn't cheat. Doesn't drink too much. Doesn't scream or fight. And somehow, that's the problem. He's safe. Predictable. And slowly, I stopped feeling like a woman and more like a roommate. But then he moved in next door. Dante. He was the kind of man that made you forget your name when he looked at you. Tall, dark, and solid. Built like a damn statue, with smooth brown skin, a slow smile, and a deep voice that felt like it rumbled in your stomach when he talked. He moved in with just a pickup truck and some boxes, wearing sweatpants and a white tank top. No wedding ring. No woman in sight. I told myself not to notice. I really did, but it was the way he looked back at me that messed me up. Like he could see straight through me. Like he knew I hadn't been touched like that in a long, long time. I first met him on a Sunday morning. I was walking out to grab the mail, still in my robe, messy hair and all. He was fixing something on his porch. He looked up and gave me that lazy smile. "Morning, neighbor." His voice was deep, friendly. I smiled back and waved like nothing stirred inside me, like my stomach didn't flip just from the way he said neighbor. From that day on, I started looking for him. When I watered the plants, when I took out the trash, when I pretended to check the mailbox 3 times a day even though I knew nothing new was in there. Every time, I hoped to catch a glimpse of him. And he made it hard to resist. Literally. I mean, he'd be out there shirtless, washing his truck, muscles flexing, sweat glistening on his chest. He was a walking fantasy, and every time I caught myself staring, I'd snap out of it and remind myself I had a husband, a life, a home. But fantasies are stronger than guilt sometimes. One afternoon, I was folding laundry in the bedroom. My window faced his backyard. I saw him out there, lifting weights shirtless in the sun. I froze, holding a towel in my hand, just watching. His arms flexed. His back muscles rippled. He bent down to pick up a bottle of water, and, God help me, I imagined things I hadn't imagined in years. And then he looked up, right at me. Our eyes met through the glass. I jumped, dropping the towel, but I couldn't move away. I was caught. And instead of looking away, he smiled. Like he knew. Like he had caught me peeking before and was just waiting for me to admit it. My heart pounded. I stepped back, closing the curtain halfway, face burning. I felt like a teenager. Like I'd been caught doing something dirty. But deep down, it turned me on. That night, I lay in bed next to Brad, who was already snoring, and I couldn't stop thinking about Dante. His body. That look. That smile. I reached under the blanket and touched myself quietly, my back turned to my husband, pretending Dante's hands were on me instead. After that, it got harder to pretend I was okay. Dante started waving more often, saying hello when I pulled into the driveway. His eyes always lingered a little too long. And mine? They were just as bad. I started wearing tighter clothes when I took the trash out. A little lip gloss, even if it was just to check the mail. We never touched. We never said anything wrong. But something was building between us. A silent, dangerous tension. One evening, I was trimming the hedges in the front yard when he came out with his dog. He stopped, leaned on the fence, and nodded. You do everything around here? He asked. Feels like it, I said, laughing. Brad's always working late. Someone's gotta keep things going. He tilted his head. That's so. The way he said it made my knees weak. Yeah, I said softly. That's so. He looked at me for a long second. His eyes dropped down just for a second, then back up to my face. Looks like you're doing a good job. I smiled, feeling heat crawl up my chest. Thanks. That moment right there, when we both smiled and let the silence hang, that was the start of something neither of us wanted to admit. I knew I should have turned and gone back inside. But instead, I stood there and asked, So, where are you from? We talked for maybe 10 minutes. About music. About Texas weather. About how quiet the neighborhood was. And in that time, I forgot I was a married woman. I felt seen. Desired. Awake. After that, I couldn't stop. I kept finding excuses to see him. Ask for help with the trash bins. Pretend I needed something moved. Just to get close. Just to hear that voice. I started dreaming about him. In one dream, he pressed me against my kitchen counter, kissing me hard, his hands all over me. I woke up sweating, breathless, hungry. I tried to push it away, to focus on my marriage. But every time Brad touched me, it felt forced. Cold. Like my body was somewhere else. And it was. It was already across the fence. Then came the moment I'll never forget. It was a hot Thursday afternoon. I was wearing a tank top and shorts, trimming the roses in the backyard. My husband was at work, like always. I felt someone watching me. I turned, and there he was, Dante, standing shirtless in his yard, holding a drink, watching me. He raised his glass and gave me a smile that made my thighs clench. And then, with no shame at all, he winked. Just like that, I knew. He wanted me too. And, if I was being honest, I didn't want to resist anymore. I always thought cheating happened fast. Like one wild night, too much wine, and a bad decision. But that's not how it was with me and Dante. Ours was slow, dangerous, like a flame creeping through dry grass. You know it's going to burn everything down. You just don't know when. After that wink in the backyard, everything changed. We both knew the truth. I wanted him. He wanted me. And once a secret like that hangs between two people, there's no going back. The next day, I found a reason to walk over. My lawnmower wasn't working, though honestly, I just didn't feel like using it. I knocked on his door around noon, heart pounding so hard I felt it in my throat. He opened it shirtless again. Of course. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You busy? He smiled, leaned against the doorframe. Not if you need something. I pretended to laugh. My mower's acting up. Thought maybe you could take a look. He raised an eyebrow like he knew exactly what I was doing, but he played along. Sure, let me grab my shoes. He walked into my backyard a few minutes later, and I led him to the shed. He leaned down to check the mower, arms flexing, muscles shifting under his skin. I was barely paying attention to the machine. My eyes were on him the whole time. It's not the mower, he said without even turning. It's you, isn't it? I froze. He stood, turned to face me, and stepped closer. You didn't come here for a mower, Carrie. My breath caught in my chest. No, I whispered. He looked into my eyes, deep and slow, like he was waiting for me to run. But I didn't. I couldn't. I was already too far gone. I think about you every night, he said. My whole body felt like it was melting. Me too. His hand came up, touched my jaw. Gentle. Careful. I don't want to wreck your life, he said. You already have, I whispered. And then he kissed me. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was fire, hot, greedy, like we'd been holding back for too long. His hands went to my waist, mine to his chest, and for a second, the whole world disappeared. There was no Brad, no marriage, no fence between our houses. Just this man and the way he made me feel alive again. We pulled apart, breathing hard. "This is wrong," I said, even as my body leaned into his. "Yeah," he said, "but it feels right." We didn't sleep together that day. We stopped before it went too far. But from that moment, the line had been crossed. There was no more pretending. That night, I couldn't eat. I kept replaying the kiss. Brad sat across from me, asking how my day was. I smiled, nodded, said all the right things, while my lips still remembered the taste of another man. For the next few days, I tried to avoid Dante. I didn't go outside. I didn't check the mail. I tried to play the good wife. But it didn't last. One morning, Brad left early for work. I stayed in bed longer, staring at the ceiling, heart racing. I knew what I wanted. I knew it was wrong. But I couldn't stop myself. I walked next door at 9 a.m. He opened the door, wearing nothing but basketball shorts. No questions. No words. Just pulled me inside. The door closed, and the rest of my world opened up. His hands were on me before I could speak. My shirt was gone. His mouth was on my neck. I didn't think, I didn't hesitate. I let it happen. We didn't make it to the bedroom. The living room floor, the wall, the couch, we were everywhere. It was wild, hot, desperate. I hadn't been touched like that in years. Not like a wife. Not like someone you had to be careful with. But like a woman who needed to be claimed. His size, his strength, it overwhelmed me. Filled me in every way I'd been missing. I moaned his name like it was the only thing I knew. He whispered mine like it was sacred. It wasn't love. It was lust. Deep and raw. And I didn't care. When it was over, I lay on his chest, sweating and breathless, the guilt only just starting to crawl in. "You okay?" he asked, brushing my hair back. I nodded. "Yeah, I just regret it," he asked softly. I paused. Not yet. We both knew what we were doing was dangerous. But neither of us stopped. That became the first of many mornings. Whenever Brad was gone, I was in Dante's house. In his bed, in his arms. I started lying more, making up errands, taking long walks. My phone had a new password. I started hiding my underwear at the bottom of the laundry. And every time I looked into my husband's eyes, I felt like a monster. But it didn't stop me. It only made the sex with Dante hotter. The guilt, the fear, the secrecy. It was like a drug. And I was hooked. I told myself I still loved Brad. That I was just getting it out of my system. But deep down, I knew I was lying. Because with Dante, I didn't have to pretend. He saw me. He wanted me. And I didn't realize how far I'd fallen until one night, Brad found something. A pair of black boxer briefs. They weren't his. He held them up in the laundry room, his face confused. "Carrie," he asked, "whose are these?" I stood frozen. My whole body went cold. And that's when I knew. My secrets weren't going to stay hidden for long. I never thought a pair of underwear would be my undoing. Brad held them up like a detective holding evidence, eyes narrowed, brain already doing the math. "Carrie," he asked again, "whose are these?" My mouth opened, but nothing came out. My thoughts were racing, excuses flying through my head like cards in a poker game. Say they're your brother's. Say the dryer must have picked them up from the laundromat. Say you bought them as a prank. Say anything, but don't freeze. "I think they must be from the gym," I said finally, trying to sound casual. "Maybe someone left their stuff in the locker next to mine and it got mixed in my bag?" Brad stared at me. He didn't buy it. Not fully, but he didn't push either. He just slowly nodded, tossed them back in the basket, and walked off like nothing happened. That was the first real crack in my perfect little world. And once there's a crack, everything else eventually slips through. After that, I got more careful. No more rushing. No more forgetting. I started washing my own laundry separately. I even stopped sleeping with Dante for a full week. But I missed him, his voice, his hands, the way he made me feel like a woman, not just a wife. And he missed me too. Late at night, I'd lie in bed beside Brad, watching his chest rise and fall while texting Dante under the sheets. Dante, you good? Me, not really. Dante, I miss you. Me, I miss you too. I hate this. Dante, you want to come over tomorrow? Me, Brad's working from home this week. Dante, damn. I want you. Me, I want you more. I felt like I was living two lives, Carrie, the perfect wife with folded laundry and family dinners, and Carrie, the woman who moaned another man's name while her husband was in Zoom meetings next door. One morning, Brad kissed me on the cheek and asked, "You still love me?" I blinked. Of course. Why would you ask that? He looked at me for a long time. You just seem far away lately. I smiled, hugged him, lied straight to his face. I love you, I whispered. Always. That lie burned more than any other. Because right after he left, I was back at Dante's house. We'd stopped using the front door. I'd sneak through the side, like a teenager, while he stood shirtless in the kitchen. He always had that smug grin on his face, the one that said, "I know you shouldn't be here, but you are." He picked me up right at the door, tossed me on the counter like I weighed nothing. My shirt was off in seconds. I couldn't think straight. His lips, his breath, his hands, I lost myself every time. It wasn't just the sex, it was the escape. I felt seen, desired, powerful. We didn't talk about Brad. We didn't talk about guilt. We just burned. That day, I stayed longer than I should have. And when I stepped back into my house, Brad was already inside. He looked up from the couch. "You go out?" My heart skipped. "Yeah, just a walk." Cleared my head. He looked at me, really looked. His eyes dropped to my neck. "You've got something there," he said. I touched my skin. A faint red mark. My stomach dropped. "Oh, must have scratched myself," I mumbled. Brad didn't say anything. He just stared at me, long and cold. That night, we barely spoke. He didn't touch me, didn't kiss me. I lay awake in bed, heart pounding. The next morning, I checked his laptop. I know. Awful. But I had to know what he was thinking. His browser history showed searches. Signs your wife is cheating. How to catch a cheating spouse. Hidden cameras in home. I panicked. Had he already set one up? Was he watching me? I texted Dante immediately. Me, he knows. Dante, are you sure? Me, I saw his search history. I'm scared. Dante, want me to come over? Me. No. Not now. Lay low. The next few days, I played the role harder than ever. I cooked, cleaned, laughed at Brad's jokes. I even let him touch me again. But it was different. Forced. My body was there, but my heart wasn't. I started lying to Dante too, telling him I was sick, busy, tired. But really, I was scared. I didn't know what Brad knew. And then, one afternoon, I found a camera hidden behind the bookshelf. Small, black, blinking red. My legs gave out. He had set one up, and I didn't know how long it had been recording. Had he seen me come back from Dante's? Had he heard us? I didn't move it. I didn't say a word. I played dumb, pretended I never saw it. But inside, I was falling apart. If you're gripping your seat right now, wondering what Brad saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Because the camera's watching, and the truth's about to blow up. They say the truth always comes out. Sometimes it leaks slow, like a dripping faucet in the middle of the night. Other times, it crashes through the door like a flood, and no matter how hard you try to hold it back, it ruins everything. For me, it started with a phone left on the kitchen counter. Brad's phone. I never touched his stuff until that day. He was outside cutting grass, and something in me, maybe guilt, maybe fear, told me to check. I didn't expect to find anything. Honestly, I didn't want to. But the second I opened his texts, my stomach turned. Group chat. Neighborhood watch. Brad, just keep an eye out for Carrie. Something's not right. Brad, I'm thinking of putting a tracker on her car. Brad, she disappears for hours. Comes back looking different. One neighbor replied, didn't she come from Dante's place last Thursday? My blood ran cold. They were watching me. Brad had roped in the neighbors. And worse, someone saw me. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, hands shaking. I almost dropped the phone when I heard the back door open. I tossed it back on the counter, spun around. Hey, babe, Brad said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Everything good? Yeah, I lied. It was the only word I could get out. That night, I told Dante everything. I called him, sitting in the bathroom with the shower running so Brad couldn't hear. They know, I whispered. Brad. Maybe the neighbors too. Dante was quiet for a second. Then he said, you want me to come get you? My heart stopped. I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted to undo everything. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. No, I finally said. Not yet. Dante sighed. You're not safe, Carrie. If he finds out for real. I know, I cut in. I just need time. But I was running out of time. Fast. The next morning, Brad made me breakfast. Pancakes. Bacon. Juice. Everything I liked. He was smiling. Too much. You didn't have to do this, I said, forcing a smile back. He poured syrup on my plate. Of course I did. You're my wife. My chest tightened. I figured, he said casually, we could go out of town this weekend. Just you and me. Leave the phones at home. No distractions. Sounds nice, I said, pretending to chew. But inside, I was screaming. A weekend away? With no phones? No escape? Was this his way of confronting me? Trapping me? Or worse? I needed to get ahead of this. That night, while Brad was in the shower, I grabbed my phone and texted Dante. He's taking me away this weekend. No phones. I think he knows everything. Dante, you want me to come now? Not yet. But be ready. If I text you anything weird, come. Dante, got it. I got you. I deleted the texts. Brad walked into the bedroom, towel around his waist. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I smiled. Just tired. He kissed my forehead and slid into bed next to me. I didn't sleep a second. The next morning, the truth started leaking again, this time from Dante. He called me. His voice was tense. Someone left a note on my door, he said. No name. Just said, stay away from her. Or else. I closed my eyes. My throat went dry. Brad, I whispered. He was playing mind games now. Messing with both of us. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't accusing. But he was watching. He was planning. And that scared me more than any screaming ever could. The next leak hit even harder. I was folding laundry when Brad walked in and dropped a manila envelope on the table. What's this? I asked. He didn't answer. Just stood there. I opened it. Photos. Of me and Dante. Kissing behind his house. Me walking out with my hair a mess. Me smiling at him in a way I hadn't smiled at Brad in years. I couldn't breathe. My mouth opened, but no words came. You got anything to say? He asked. My whole world tilted. I couldn't lie anymore. I couldn't cry. I just whispered, I'm sorry. He laughed. Not a real laugh, a bitter, hollow one. Sorry, he said. That's it? I didn't answer. He looked at me like he didn't know who I was anymore. I trusted you, he said quietly. I gave you everything. And then he turned and walked out of the room. I sat in that chair for what felt like forever. The pictures still laid out on the table in front of me like a crime scene. My crime. My betrayal. Brad didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. That silence was worse than any screaming. When he finally spoke again, hours later, it was just 5 words. I need you to leave. I looked up at him, my eyes swollen and red. Brad. Don't, he said, holding up a hand. Just pack a bag. Go. I don't care where. I stood slowly, my legs weak, and walked to the bedroom. Every step felt like a goodbye. I filled a small duffel. No clothes, just the essentials, wallet, phone charger, a hoodie. The last thing I saw when I turned around was our wedding picture on the nightstand. Us on the beach, smiles real back then. I grabbed it, then put it back. I didn't deserve to take it with me. I stayed at a cheap motel that night. Off the highway, with paper-thin walls and a buzzing sign that blinked vacancy. Dante called. I didn't answer. He texted. Dante, where are you? Dante, did he hurt you? Dante, please tell me you're okay. I stared at the screen, fingers hovering. Then typed. Me, I'm fine. I just need space. Because the truth was, I didn't even know if I wanted to see him. What we had, what we did, it was wrong. It was fire. And now it had burned everything. The next day, I drove past the house. Not to go in. Just to look. Brad's truck was gone. A for sale sign was on the lawn. My chest sank. He was erasing me fast. I thought I'd cry. But nothing came. Not even tears. That evening, I finally answered Dante's call. Hey, I said, voice low. Where have you been? He asked. I've been losing my mind. I needed to think. You don't have to go through this alone. I hesitated, then said, don't you see, Dante? This isn't just Brad's life we tore apart. It's mine too. He was quiet. I don't even know who I am anymore, I whispered. I used to be someone's wife. A good neighbor. A steady woman. And now, he asked. Now I'm just a memory people whisper about when I walk by. He sighed. You're more than that to me. I know, I said. But right now, that's not enough. Weeks passed. I stayed in that motel until I ran out of money. Then I moved in with a friend from work, Lisa, the only one who didn't judge me out loud. I kept my head down. Went to work. Came home. Didn't talk much. The neighborhood whispered. I felt it. Some looked at me with pity. Others with disgust. One even told Lisa, she's the woman who cheated with the guy next door. The shame followed me like a shadow. I ignored it. Pretended I didn't care. But every night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering when I became the villain in my own story. Then one afternoon, I saw Brad again. At a coffee shop downtown. He didn't notice me at first. He was laughing with a woman. Pretty. Clean smile. Light in her eyes. Then his eyes met mine. And for a moment, everything around us froze. He didn't smile. Didn't frown. Just gave a small nod. And I nodded back. No words. No need. That was our goodbye. Later that night, I got one last message from Dante. Dante, still think about you. Dante, always will. I didn't reply. Because some chapters don't need sequels. They just need endings. And this? This was mine. Sometimes the deepest stories leave behind the quietest echoes. If this one hit you somewhere deep, don't forget to like and subscribe. More real stories. More raw truths. Coming soon.